Hello, and welcome to Bands of Confusion, a video cast dedicated to highlighting local Pierce, Thurston, and King County artists, musicians, and venues. I am JW Collier, also known as JW_drummerboy on most social medias. I'm the drummer for a local indie rock band, and I am your host. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Radio Tacoma 101.9 FM for hosting this video cast on their radio station. Please tune in on Friday night at 10 p.m. and Saturday night at 9 p.m. to listen to this videocast and all the other amazing shows they have available to you. The idea behind this videocast is to highlight local talent in venues, as well as trying to connect musicians and listeners with each other in an effort to expand the local music community. Each week, I will interview and highlight a band or venue. You will get to know the people involved, the motivation behind their music or the music they strive to bring to you, and more importantly, you will get to hear some of the music they are creating. If you or someone you know is in a working band or venue and would like to be highlighted on Bands of Confusion, please reach out to Bands of Confusion on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, and we will get you scheduled. All right, tonight I'm here with the local Tacoma band, Los Ocupados. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. How you doing?
Good. Very well. Awesome.
Great. Well, it's good to have you. Why don't you go ahead and just start introducing yourselves as far as the band and the members in the band, what you play, and go from there.
Well, we'll start over here on this side. I'm Brad. I play bass for the band.
Cool.
I'm Tad. I play alto sax.
Okay.
And we're Los Ocupados.
Yeah, we're Los Ocupados. My name is Mari, and I sing, and I also play alto sax.
Okay.
I'm going to add to our band introduction. We're Los Ocupados, a six-piece ska band mostly based in Tacoma or Western Washington. I'm Luke. I hit things in the back of the band and nobody sees me.
I'm James. I play guitar.
And I'm Mike. I play trombone.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, welcome. And so tell me a little bit about the band history, like how long have you guys been together? Has there been multiple versions of the band? Tell me a little bit about the name and, of course, the influence, like you said, ska, and definitely a heavy Latin influence there.
All right, so we have been a band for almost 3 years. Our anniversary is actually in October, the first week of October 3rd. And we have had multiple band members. We started with a different guitarist and a different bassist. And the bassist was actually the person that started the band, but then he quit on us. And then he came back and we kicked him out of the band. and then we got Brad, and now we love Brad, so we don't need any other bassist. So yeah, and the other guitarist also left, and now we have James. James has been in the band from almost day one. It was the second rehearsal that we had where he joined. And that was, I think, at the first one that Tad joined.
Yeah.
Tad and I are married, but he was not part of the band. He was just coming to make sure that I was okay meeting with all these strangers during COVID. And then I realized I can't play and sing at the same time because I play a horn. And my husband plays the same horn. So we just okay, can you help me? And he just jumped in and he became part of the band.
Very cool.
And Luke and I have been in the band since the very, very beginning. Like the first meeting where we threw it out there, we met through an app called Band Mix. And then we had Mike join. He was the most recent to join the band. But yeah, this is us. And our influences. James, you want to talk a little bit?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, I mean, definitely like all this grew up in kind of that, 90s ska sound everywhere. Like Mari grew up in Venezuela, and so her influences are much more like that part of the world, which is actually very cool for me because I got to hear about music just from that part of the world that I had no idea about. But I definitely have a strong two-tone, third wave-ish influence. I think our number one rule, at least for me, is just it's got to be danceable. It's got to groove, and that is kind of like, if it doesn't do that, I'm kind of not into it. And so I think that's that is where I try to come from when we're writing.
That's great. Yeah, it's got really good energy, and I like that you said the ska, because the first time I heard it, I hadn't seen the ska label yet that you guys had kind of put on there, and I heard that really strong Latin influence from Venezuela, Mari. So is that the kind of music you've always kind of played, that style, that genre?
For me,
Yeah.
well, I have always played in the ska punk bands. This is my
Okay.
third ska punk band. I was in a band called Siete Potencias in the early 2000s in Margarita Island. That's where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
I'm very close to Jamaica and all of the islands in the Caribbean. So we
Nice.
grew up listening to reggae and ska. That was the Toots and the Maytals came to the island to play several times, and the Wailers, like everyone that like reggae legends, I guess they would
Yeah,
come to the
yeah.
island to play back in the day. And yeah, so for me it's Latin ska, reggae, and ska punk. And my second band was also a ska punk band called Via de Escape.
Okay.
And they did tour, went to Colombia, but I was only playing sax with them for a little bit. And then I took a long hiatus until
Okay.
finally got to get this band together.
That's great. Well, it sounds like you're up and running and doing well, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, so I'm gonna just throw out some questions, and like I said earlier, just kind of get a little bit from everyone, you know. So if you need to pass, go ahead and pass, and send it over to somebody else. But we kind of keep it kind of simple, okay? Tell me about like your earliest memory of when you knew music. Let me change that. Playing music was going to be a part of your life, not just you're kind of interested, but you're like, okay, I know this is a thing now.
You want to take that since you got a degree in it?
I gotta think on that one.
I can answer it if you got to
You
think.
can
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
You can start.
All right,
start us off.
So I've been playing the drums since I was 5. As soon as it was a thing at school, my mom was like, "You're going to be a musician," because that was important to her. I can't imagine not being a drummer. Like it's not a thing that's ever been in my life where I'm not playing music. I've had to take breaks because of my previous career. I was always busy, but as soon as I knew I could be in a ska band, it was like all I needed in my life. This is my first ska band. I used to play in pop punk bands and like
Okay.
some skate punk stuff in the 90s, but this is my first ska band, and I'm a huge ska person. That's kind of what my thing is.
Yeah.
But knowing like I'm a musician and then meeting 5 other people that are like, yeah, we could do this, and we make good tunes together. And when we write, like it clicks really quickly. So knowing I wanted to be a musician my entire life, even when I wanted to quit, it was like, I can't quit. It's, it's in me. It's what I do. But then you meet your band, like this is our band.
Yeah.
You meet them and it's like, oh, this is exactly what I should be doing.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, like I really, I had a hard time picking up music. Like my mom tried to get me going many times when I was a kid, but I didn't really do it seriously until I was 16
Okay.
when I picked up the guitar because I wanted to be cool. But yeah, like within a few years, I was just really dialed into my local music scene in the California Bay Area, and so just I don't know if it necessarily had to be guitar, but it definitely like just being a part of that community is just what really got me going, and just being creative in general is just a very important part of my group of friends and my community, and so that's just kind of been my main driving force.
Great. So 5 and 16. All right, who's next?
Yeah, for me, I found I found a really badly beaten up guitar from Korea when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Wow.
And I played it until the bridge fell off. And then I didn't actually pick up the guitar again until I was like 14 or 15 in California when we were there. When I was younger, my dad got in an accident. We went out there for him. And so one of the things they asked is, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to finally pick up guitar. So I took lessons. And then I probably came more from the punk side than the ska side versus the other people here, like the punk and hardcore. And then, I played in some bands in high school, and I kind of actually put it down a little bit, got married. And during COVID, I fiddle on my guitars, but I had been playing them a lot. I really started putting, getting my theory back up and stuff like that. And ended up playing for it. I did all of the Cure pornography with some people all over the internet. We were, you know, from Georgia to Mexico City. We redid all of the Cure, and then when COVID restrictions were lifting, I'm like, I need to do this live again. And I just got on Facebook and I saw, you know, ska punk, and I'm like, oh, that's a fun one. So, and then the rest is history.
Very cool.
Yeah, so I got a weird story, and it's because it's not typical, and I was part of the band geeks in high school.
Oh, okay.
And after high school, I set my saxophone down for the last 20 years until 3 years ago, when she was auditioning for this for this band for that meet, and she wanted to play Rudy, but that has a pretty strong horn line that is instrumental in the song. She's like, hey, these are the notes. Do you remember them? I was like, yeah, I'll try it out. And I guess I'm in a band now. I have a ton of fun and love being on stage drinking beer.
I guess I'm
awesome.
in a band now.
I love that story. That's really cool, though. All right.
You want to go, Mike?
Yeah. So my whole family's kind of been musical. They all play some sort of instrument at some point in their life. Growing up, I primarily listened to my cousins play piano and my uncle play bass. And then when it got down to third grade, which I was about 8, they asked, what instrument do you want to play? And so I said I wanted to play the trombone. So I've been playing the trombone ever since I was 8. And then about a decade ago, I stopped playing because of relationships and stuff. And then picked it back up when I met these guys.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very cool.
That was a restart for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Nothing like a ska band to make everybody realize they're band geeks.
Yeah. Well, I am also a band geek. I was also in a couple of marching bands in school, but my ska story started when I was 5 years old, watching a kids show in Venezuela, and they were playing a song called Zapatos Resbalosos by Desorden Público. Desorden Público is the biggest Venezuelan ska band ever. We have a huge ska scene. We have a lot of ska bands. Ska is huge in Latin America. So I listened to the song and I just started dancing, and ever since then I've been a huge fan. And I have always, first and foremost, been a music fan more than a musician.
Sure.
And been to a lot of shows and just over different countries, different states. And I'm also a band geek, but I never was able to play saxophone while I was in the band. I was always in percussion and I hated it. I am really bad at playing drums. And I also play keyboards and cuatro, but my cuatro teacher quit. So I never was able to learn to play cuatro. Cuatro is almost like a ukulele that we play in a different way in Venezuela. It's one of our traditional instruments.
Cool.
So I kind of dabble in keyboards and I play saxophone now. After so many years of like not doing anything with music, I'm very happy to be back.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I was kind of similar, I think. You know, I came about it later in life. I was more always a music fan for sure. And I picked up guitar first when I was probably in my 20s before I really started to play music. So yeah, that's great. Awesome. Well, just as somebody who's been in several bands and understands some of the trials and tribulations that come along with that, seeing you guys sitting there with 6 people in your band, that brings its own challenges, right? Having that many people. So tell me a little bit about how you guys handle that situation.
I think we have a very well-established process. One of us, usually me or Mari, posts in our group, hey, we need an answer on this, or we have a show offer or whatever. You got about a day to answer.
Okay.
Find it in answer, we're doing it, whether you want to or not. Or people aren't answering, and then they have to deal with the wrath of me because I have zero chill. I'm always the angry one of the band. Of course, the drummer's the angry one. But
he's not mine.
No, at all. It's worked out well for 3 years. Everything's gone swimmingly, but there are some days where it's like everybody in the band hates me because I'm very demanding. Mari and I kind of run all the behind the scenes business stuff as far as getting shows. Mike does a lot too. Not to discount anybody's role in this band, but we do a lot of the conversations and all that. So there's a lot of like me pissing off the rest of the band.
Yeah,
that happens a lot.
It seems like that, I hear that a lot with drummers.
Yeah.
Sorry,
We
Mari, go
divided a
ahead.
lot of the responsibilities. I think that's worked out well for us because
Yeah.
at the beginning, I think me and Luke were doing almost everything, and it was very overwhelming for the two of
Yeah.
us. So we
It's a lot of
divided
work.
better the things. So now all of the calendar stuff is managed by James, and then managing all of the recording stuff, and Mike does all the social media. So we in between Luke and I do bookings. So we kind of like divided things a little better than before, and it's working better. It's not so stressful, but it is challenging. I think the hardest thing is to get people to answer because we're six
Yes.
people and we have different opinions. We're all busy. I don't know if you know, but the name of our band, Los Ocupados, means the busy ones.
Yeah.
And we are all extremely busy.
That's funny. I didn't know how that related to this idea or not. Yeah, no, it's good. I think splitting up the jobs is crucial, right? I mean, like having everybody buying into some one part or one aspect of the band is such a huge help, to keep everybody working together and everything. So that's great that you guys are doing that. Awesome. All right. Well, then tell me. Let's see. How about what's the favorite place you guys have played so far?
You start.
Well, I know our usual is the Plaid Pig.
Okay.
We like that venue a lot.
That's fun.
I think the most profitable was probably High Dive.
Oh, okay.
In Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
That was a
was
great
good.
show for sure.
What do you think, James?
Oh goodness. I mean, the nerd in me wants to say Mirkwood.
Mirkwood is
because
cool.
it was,
Mirkwood and Arlington. Our friends the Scablins have a
Yeah.
bar in Arlington called the Mirkwood, and
Yeah.
we played there recently.
Wow,
It was
yeah,
so much
very
fun.
and
cool.
it's Lord of the Rings themed. So
No way.
that's, you
That's
know.
great.
And I'm it wasn't the full band. James unfortunately didn't make it, but the Austin, Texas, even though we kind of
Okay.
was not our best performance, was really fun.
And it wasn't our best performance just because it was hard not to play with James.
Yes,
We had
Yeah,
to
I'm
play with
sure.
a fill-in guitar, and he only had like one day to.
he had 2
Put
or 3
everything
days.
together.
Yeah,
to-
I got COVID the day before I
Wow.
was scheduled to leave for Austin. So
Goodness.
that was kind of sucky.
But shout out to Earl from Plastic Presidents. His band's amazing. He's a great guitar player.
Yes.
and
That's
he
cool.
did a great job.
Yeah, he crushed it.
He crushed it for, he saved the day for us. So
That's great.
Yeah, I watched the videos and I see him dancing, and I can't believe like he put it together so quickly, and he's just moving like he knows our
Oh,
songs.
wow.
It's so
That's
amazing.
great.
They're our homies. If anybody's in Omaha and wants to, Omaha, Nebraska, right? That's where they're from. Yeah.
Yeah,
And wants to see a killer ska band, they're amazing. They're on our label too.
Plastic Presidents.
Plastic
I am
President.
gonna say, the venue doesn't matter to me as much as playing outdoors in front of people. That's my favorite. Just any
Yeah.
outdoor show, that has always been my best time.
Outdoors
Yeah,
is fun.
outdoor
huh?
shows are fun.
That's
It's
true.
just a different
I would say
vibe.
like Porch Fest just
Yeah.
like a month
yeah,
ago.
Porch
That
Fest,
that,
that's a blast.
that might be the most fun I've had at a show, and
We
that
had a
was just
good
somebody's
time.
front porch, like in a neighborhood.
Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I
So-
did
We
one
didn't
this
follow
summer.
the rules. We didn't play on a porch. We played in a yard.
Oh, nice.
Six people.
Nobody's porch can fit 6 people.
No.
Yeah, I played at a one called Summerfest here in Spanaway this summer, where a guy just has his own stage and sound system and everything set up just to have friends over and come and play. It was pretty amazing. Right in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. All right, cool. Well, let's
I think
you
I
want-
had also fun.
go ahead.
I had one.
Go ahead.
I had a lot of fun in Portland. We played with our friends Rat Max.
Okay.
We played with them before in Real Art, and then we went to Portland, and that was a mixed bill, which we don't always do mixed bills. You do a lot of park ska,
Sure.
and that one
Yeah.
was like pop and like different genres. So that was fun. That was our first time out of the state too. So
Oh, nice. That's
it's
fun
really
too,
hard to
anyway,
pick
because you
one.
get different people, and you get to introduce your music to people who wouldn't always be able to hear it. So it's kind of nice when they do those kind of bills. I like that. Great. All right. You guys want to listen to some music?
sure.
Absolutely.
All right. So what I'm going to do is put on, we got 2 songs. I'll play about 2 minutes of them. They're a little short anyway. Actually, the first one, I'll just play the whole song. And then we'll come back after we listen to the song. And then you guys tell me a little bit about the influence of the song, what it means, and what brought it about. Okay. All right. Here we go. This is A Better Way by Los Ocupados.
So much negativity in the news these days. We've been sending signals, obey and disobey. Distrust is supposed to protect and serve. Compromise and stuff, but we have to find a way. We have to hope that tomorrow will be better than today. Working together, we will find a better way. The story repeats over and over again. This story happened once before. Divide and conquest, politicians' favorite quote. Fighting each other, distract us from what's wrong. Let's stop the division so we can move along. We have to hope that tomorrow will be better than today. Working together, we will find a better way. The story repeats over and over again. Negativity in the news these days. We've been sending signals, obey and disobey. Distrust is supposed to protect and serve. Compromise and stuff, but we have to find a way. We have to hope that tomorrow will be better than today. Working together, we will find a better way. The story repeats over and over again.
All right. A Better Way by Los Ocupados.
Yeah.
Yes. So
All right. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so that's the first song that we wrote together. And that's the chord progression that I'd had tooling around since the mid 2000s that I had a completely different song written to. And at the very beginning, we were just playing like a bunch of covers, just kind of, had a list of songs, kind of getting to know you, learning how to play each other, just kind of list of cover songs. And I just had this chord progression for this song of mine that I didn't really like how it went. So I just played like just the chords and sent them to the band, and just kind of curious how the dynamic might go, trying to write some stuff as opposed to playing other people's songs, and eventually it just really gelled and came together.
Oh, cool.
And it's a far, far, far better song now than it ever was when it was just mine.
Of course. So that was your first go as a band putting a song together, though.
Yes.
That's great.
Well, when I came into it, they had the song kind of like figured out as far as like the structure. They're like, we don't have bass for it, figure something out.
Yeah, we didn't have a basis for a while.
It was different to come in and go, oh, here's a song, there's no bass to it, so open season, do whatever you want.
That's fun.
The way we wrote the horns was pretty interesting for that, because the main da 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 that came to me like in a dream, and I wrote that. And then James was like, oh, but I want to add some more cool stuff to it. And he went and he gave me this horn line that was so complicated and it has so many things. I was like, oh, how am I going to play this? So I was like, okay, let me strip this down a little bit. And I removed some stuff and I simplified it, and it's what it is now. But it was a combination of our ideas.
Yeah, that's been a learning process for me, is that like when I first started trying to write a horn line for a song, when I would try and write stuff, I overwrote it.
Yeah.
big
Oh,
time.
interesting. Okay. Yeah,
I've
yeah.
had to learn how to just kind of like pare it down to just like something that's playable, and just something that's just simple. It's like simple catching instead of trying to all these like multi-part harmonies with everybody trying to come in and do various things. Just really difficult to learn. It just didn't really fit the style that well at all. But
Yeah,
it's kind of a
that's interesting.
learning
Yeah,
how to write for other people is always a thing.
Who
And
in the band
lyrics of the
said?
song,
Sorry, who in the band
Yeah.
said that ska was kind of a new venture? Was it? I thought one of you said it was kind of.
Is that
New.
you?
It was
Yeah.
kind of,
This is Brad.
yeah, I've been around ska.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're a
Uh,
punk.
I've been around it. I have friends who are like very ska adjacent, and I went to a lot of ska shows. Like before this, I was playing stuff more of like the Cure Pornography era with friends, and so
Yeah.
this is actually my first ska bass line ever right here, and
Oh, okay.
my second bass line for a song ever written. So
Very cool. Yeah, that's neat to see you guys all
yeah.
come together and make that work. That's awesome. I'm sorry, Mari, you were going to say something?
oh, the lyrics, just the lyrics
yeah,
that they, since I'm from Venezuela and it says there, seen the story happen once before. I've seen a lot of the same signs of when we had like the economic collapse back then.
Yeah.
So like, kind of that's where I'm coming from. Like I saw so much division because of politics in my country and how it divided families, it destroyed friendships. And I see it happening here too, and it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we're
that's
trying to
interesting.
like bring up a positive message that if we work together, we can make things better. So
Yeah, there's a better way. I like it. That's great. Well, thank you for that. All right, let's move on to song number 2. This is Espionage by Los Ocupados.
Days of old, there were hundreds of stories told, men who would plunder and steal, taking from the rich, then stealing from the starving poor, even if you're their last meal. Espionage, camouflage, sabotage, the DHS is coming for you. Putin's oil is pumping through my brain. The barrels are cheap overseas. Would it be profound if the ship didn't run underground like the water horizon did? Espionage, camouflage, sabotage. The brother is coming for you.
Kind of perfect timing. All right, that was Espionage by Los Ocupados. Tell me a little bit about that one.
So that's a cover of a song by a band called Go-Go 13. They're from the early 90s, Utah ska band. I was a huge Aquabats fan for a really, really long time. I love the Aquabats.
Okay.
Go-Go 13 was like a precursor to the Aquabats. So there was a compilation put out in the 90s by Horchata Records, or Horchata Records. Mari's trying to teach me how to speak Spanish the right way. So they put out this comp, and a friend of mine through the Aquabats, wanted bands to cover all these songs from back then and put out this new compilation. And it fell apart, but we still had the song. So we were like, why not put it out, right? Like Mari updated the lyrics with like the NSA and Big Brother and all that, because it is kind of a political song.
Yeah.
You know, the oil thing. If you hear a bunch of noise, it's dogs. I got too many dogs. But Yeah, we covered it. I think it came out really well. It's the first real recording we ever did as a band, so there was a lot of learning going on. But it's one of those songs that everybody that sees us play it live dances to it. They love it. We get a lot of people singing along. You know, our normal like fans that come out to a bunch of our shows stand right up front and sing those la la la's right at the end with Mari super loud. But yeah, it's not our song, but we kind of put our own spin on it.
Yeah, it's
One
great.
fun thing about that song is that it was mixed and mastered by a very big friend of mine from Venezuela that has a small recording studio called Electroma Recording.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just cool to work with someone from back home to do this project together. And it was a little bit challenging because I'm the only person that speaks English and Spanish, so I had to translate a lot of feedback and going back and forth. But it was fun, and it's special to me because of that.
I just proved I can speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Or chata.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I like that song a lot. I like the stops, the starts and the stops in it too. They kind of keep things moving along. It's got a great beat. Very cool. Anybody else want to chime in?
Speaking of Utah ska, that was where I grew up, is the Utah ska stuff. So it was kind of funny to come all the way to Washington and then be a part of like Utah ska, which is where I'm originally from. Like my friends Who back in Utah, and there's other bands like Stretch Armstrong, and like I went to a lot of those when I was younger, so it was kind of fun to like come back and it's like, oh wow, I haven't heard of Go-Go 13 in forever. So
cool. Very cool. Well, thanks for sharing those songs with us, you guys. Those are great. I love it. So why don't you go ahead now and I'm going to give you the floor to kind of just plug whatever you want to plug. Tell us about your social media. Tell us about if you got albums coming out. Tell us about where you're playing next. All that stuff. Let us know what's going on.
You want to hit up the record stuff?
Yeah, would you talk about the shows, please?
All right, we'll do the shows first.
Okay.
This Saturday, I think you said this will be Friday, right? So tomorrow, the 23rd, we're playing Backyard Boogie with our friends Dirty Tribe. They're like our BFFs. They're a Tacoma reggae rock band. Amazing people. We'll talk about socials in a minute, but check our socials. The flyer will be up there. Okay. October 27th, we're playing at the Belltown Yacht Club.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Who's on that one? That's Batbox.
Batbox and Mr. Blank.
Batbox and our homies Mr. Blank, both great Seattle bands. Mr. Blank ska. Batbox is kind of like a alt rock. They're amazing. If you can make it to that show, you're in for a treat.
Awesome.
And then the 28th, we're playing back up in Arlington. 28th of October, playing back up in Arlington at the Mirkwood with the Scoblins, and we're doing a zombie ball. So come in costume, be a zombie.
Nice.
That's November 18th. We're playing Real Art. That's the only other show we got. November 18th. Real Art Tacoma. We don't know who else is playing that show yet, but it's going to be a killer show.
Great.
That's all her shows right now.
Yeah, sounds good. How about social media?
Not much to say on that. I just put up pictures on Facebook and Instagram, make sure that our posts get put up.
We're Los_Ocupados on Instagram.
Okay.
And then on Facebook, you'll find us as Los Ocupados Ska.
Okay, perfect.
And then we have Twitter too.
We kind of have Twitter. I just that one.
X.
Yeah, that's right. It changed, didn't it?
We don't use that much. If you hit us up on Twitter or X or whatever, we don't really check it.
Well, I do check it, and I do get those notifications. That's the only one that I cut for some reason.
What's the handle?
I would have,
That's how much we don't
Los Ocupados Ska.
Los Ocupados Ska is what it is.
Facebook and Instagram are our best, or email. Yeah. You can hit us up on email too.
Yeah, losocupadosska@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All of those.
Yeah.
Or come and see us. We're better in person.
Absolutely.
Yep, Los Ocupados Ska. Sorry, I had to verify.
All right.
No.
So we're recording an album.
Okay.
We're pretty close to finishing, but we have a lot of like learnings in the process.
Yeah.
We're working with our good friend Esteban Flores from Matamosca and Vandalus and a whole bunch of other bands. But he's doing the mixing and mastering, and we're gonna have 9 to 10 songs, and we're hoping to drop them sometime this year. We're hoping for November, but it will be a surprise.
Yeah.
When it comes out.
It'll be on. We're on a label called Ska Punk International. It'll be on there.
Yeah.
If you're looking for ska, you're gonna find something you like on Ska Punk International. We call it SPI, but SPI is a great label. Cool Chris is our label owner. He's a great dude. the festival you're talking about with Ska Punk International Festival, 21 bands and a podcast all playing in Austin, Texas, making the scene just awesome.
That's great.
Our friends Simple Minded Symphony are also on the label. They're up in Seattle. If you see their name and you're not going to see them, you're missing out because they are amazing. Their record just dropped a month ago.
Yeah.
And it's crazy good. So one of the best albums I've ever heard.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. We'll have to put them in touch with me. All right, guys.
Yes.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story and introducing yourself and the band and playing some of the music. It's really good to get to know you. I'm definitely going to hit the Real Art show. And then the other thing I wanted to just kind of put out there, and one of the reasons I started this whole thing was just to kind of, it's put musicians, in touch with each other too, right? You have the listeners, you have fans, but then musicians working together too. And one of the things I'm hoping to do is kind of develop some sort of a way to get all of us out there supporting each other, supporting each other as bands. And so kind of keep that in mind, and I'll be reaching out to you too as we move forward and trying to find a way that we can do that more officially. You know what I mean? But it's a cool scene, amazing. I love Tacoma. I love the bands. There's so many good people and good musicians out there. So thank you guys again so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night. We'll see you soon.
Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you again to Radio Tacoma 101.9 FM for hosting this video cast on their Tacoma radio station on Fridays at 10 p.m. and Saturdays at 9 p.m. Thank you for taking the time to log in or tune in to Bands of Confusion, a video cast dedicated to highlighting local Pierce, Thurston, and King County artists, musicians, and venues. I am J.W. Collier, also known as JW_drummerboy on most social medias. I'm the drummer for our local indie rock band, and I am your host. I will see you next week, but until then, get out there and see some live music and support our amazing local music community.